Everyone, my name is Devon.
And I'm Joy, and we're sitting together for today as we celebrate new releases for the month of June. We are COVID free and fully vaccinated, and we hope you are too, so that you too can sit close to friends, family, and coworkers.
And talk about books. So everything we're talking today, like Joy said, it's brand new, and there are print records in the catalog if you want to put a hold on an item, but they're not on Overdrive or Libby yet probably, but they should be because they're highly rated titles, and that's why we want to share them with you. So now I'm going to switch screens so you can see what we have in store for you this month. All right, and as usual, I'll be discussing the fiction and Joy will do the nonfiction. Take it away, Joy.
Okay. Well, my first choice for this month is Somebody's Daughter, a memoir by Ashley C. Ford. Raised in Indiana by an angry, overburdened mother and a strict but loving grandmother, Ashley Ford idolized her father, who was serving a lengthy prison sentence and whose adoring letters kept her anchored. Throughout her childhood, Ashley did not know why her father was incarcerated, and neither will the reader throughout much of the book. But his shadowy presence helped her navigate poverty, puberty, and a series of painful relationships as she moved from youth through a troubled adolescence. Ashley was certain that someday she and her father would reunite, and then she'd feel complete. And it was the image of her father that she returned to again and again when in need of an infusion of encouragement and hope. In the end, Ashley and her father do reconnect after his release. And she describes their reunion with tenderness and devastating clarity. Somebody's Daughter is Ford's debut literary work, a Midwestern Black girl coming-of-age story and family saga that chronicles the effects of long-term incarceration on one vulnerable family. PW calls it a blistering account and says that this remarkable, heart-wrenching story of loss, hardship, and eventual self-acceptance astounds. Kirkus compares Somebody's Daughter to Tayari Jones's masterful novel, An American Marriage, and says that it is sure to be one of the best memoirs of 2021.
I didn't realize that was being compared to An American Marriage. That's really interesting.
Yes, because of the prison theme.
Oh, okay. All right, and here's my first fiction choice. One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. If her name sounds familiar, it's because she wrote Red, White, and Royal Blue that was a huge hit last summer. So this is her second novel, and it just came out on June 1st. It's an anticipated novel of the whole year, according to Time, Pop Sugar, Oprah Magazine, The Advocate, Book Riot, Book Page, Goodreads, Parade, Pride, Amazon, and a ton more. So just the fact it's getting all these great reviews, I wanted to give you a heads up on that. In the book, 23-year-old August doesn't believe in much when she moves to New York City. She doesn't believe in psychics, easy friendships, or finding the kind of love they make movies about. She doesn't think her new roommates, shifts at a 24-hour diner, or her daily subway commute are going to change that. But then there's Jane, beautiful, impossible Jane, the person August looks forward to seeing on the train, the one who makes her forget about the places she's lived that never seem to fit, her post-graduation fears, and even her cold case obsessed mother. But when August realizes her subway crush is impossible in more ways than one, namely displaced in time from the 1970s, she thinks maybe it's time to start believing. This book is full of winning, wacky, and witty characters, as well as snappy pop culture references. It also stresses the importance of queer friendship, community, and history. The book got starred reviews from Booklist, Book Page, and Publishers Weekly. Some reviewers are saying that this might be the best book of the summer. Publishers Weekly said, McQuiston mixes quirky characters, coming-of-age confusion, and laugh-out-loud narration. This book has all the fun and camp of a drag show, and this novel features more than one. But it also is grounded in the tenderness of first love. This time-slip rom-com is an absolute delight. So people probably already know I like romantic comedies, but I think the time travel aspect makes this one especially interesting.
Yeah, I love time travel.
Me too. Okay, here's another from Joy.
My next choice for this month is How the Word is Passed, A Reckoning with the History of Slavery Across America by Clint Smith. It is probably no exaggeration to say that our struggle to confront the ongoing legacy of slavery and reshape the American story has been and remains an agonizing endeavor. In How the Word is Passed, Atlantic staff writer Clint Smith takes us on a tour of monuments, those that treat the past with honesty and those that do not. And in the process, he creates a moving and perceptive survey of national landmarks that reckon or fail to reckon with the formative role slavery played in the development of our nation and our collective memory. Smith leads us from New Orleans to New York City to Virginia, where he questions Thomas Jefferson's reputation as a reluctant slaveholder and opposes the popular image of Robert E. Lee as a kindly, courtly Southern gentleman with that of a ruthless taskmaster. He visits Angola Prison in Louisiana to investigate the roots of the mass incarceration of Black males. And on a somewhat lighter note, celebrates Juneteenth in Galveston. PW says that How the Word is Passed is suffused with lyrical descriptions and incisive historical detail, and calls it an essential consideration of how America's past informs its present. This is not your typical summer travelogue, but it is an important one.
I agree. This sounds like a very important book, and it's really timely for it to come out now, too. All right, here's my next fiction choice. The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nie Vo. This one also came out on June 1st. It's a fantastical retelling of F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby, making magic every day in Gatsby's world. It's especially recommended for readers who enjoy historical fantasy. It's the most anticipated novel for the whole year, according to USA Today, BuzzFeed, Bustle, Library Journal, Kirkus, The Week, and more. Immigrant, socialite, magician, star golfer Jordan Baker grows up in the most rarefied circles of 1920s American society. She has money, education, and invitations to some of the most exclusive parties of the jazz age. She's also Vietnamese, queer, adopted, and treated as an exotic attraction by her peers, though the most important doors stay closed to her. But the world is full of wonders, infernal pacts and dazzling illusions, lost ghosts and elemental mysteries. And all paper is fire, and Jordan can burn the cut paper heart out of the man. She just has to learn how. This book contains flashbacks to Jordan and Daisy's teen years as they became friends when they were children. It also touches on themes of xenophobia, white supremacy, and class struggles. The book got a starred review from Kirkus, Publishers Weekly, and Bookpage. Reviewers say the plot unravels tantalizingly slowly. Author Helene Wecker said, post-transformation of The Great Gatsby recasts careless Jordan as a woman of depth and sharpness, a socialite forced to live in the margins. In Vo's telling, the glitter of Gatsby's parties conceals a sinister struggle, one where players must survive on charms both literal and figurative, and the line between the invented and the real is blurred. Like Jordan's own paper creations, this book captivates with its artistry and power. So I really like it when they take a classic novel and retell it from the point of view of a minor character. And the fact that this one has some fantasy elements in it, I'm super excited. And I think you told me you're already on the wait list for this one.
For months. So I'm going to read it before you do, Devin.
You have to tell me all about
And
it.
I love the same things you do.
Mhm.
You know, the same elements just
Yeah.
intrigue me.
I think it'll be a good one. All right, here's our next nonfiction.
Okay, my last choice for this month is House of Sticks, a memoir by Lee Tran, who is also Vietnamese. Lee Tran was just a toddler when she and her family immigrated from a small town in Vietnam to a 2-bedroom apartment in Queens. Their resettlement made possible through a humanitarian program run through the U.S. government. After they arrive, Tran joins her parents and brothers, sewing ties and cummerbunds, whatever that is, to make ends meet. Tran recounts her struggle to reconcile her sense of filial duty, Buddhist faith, and familial work ethic with an increasing desire to fit into mainstream American youth culture. Her challenges are compounded by the fact that her father, a former lieutenant in the South Vietnamese Army, who spent 10 years as a POW, is driven by rage and eventually clinical paranoia. As an example, he refused to allow Tran to obtain much-needed eyeglasses, calling her diagnosis a government conspiracy. Shelf Awareness praises Tran's vivid, unadorned narration and says her story is impossible to forget. Booklist gave House of Sticks a starred review and calls it a moving, exceptionally readable memoir, at once heartbreaking, shocking, and hopeful. Vogue named it one of the best books to read in 2021, and Marie Claire listed it among a list of 29 new books by Asian Americans to get excited about.
This one sounds really good too. There have been a lot of great memoirs coming out lately.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing now.
Mm-hmm. All right, and here's my last fiction choice. Rabbits by Terry Miles. This one's coming out on the 8th. This is an all-new adventure set in the world of the hit podcast, Rabbits. If you hadn't heard of the podcast, it's done in a pseudo-documentary style, and Terry Miles is the producer and writer. In the podcast, narrator Carly Parker searches for her missing friend and finds herself in the midst of a decades-old alternate reality game known as Rabbits, or simply The Game. A main feature of Rabbits is its references to pop culture, especially to classic video games like Defender and Space Age. That makes sense because some reviewers are comparing the pop culture feel of Rabbits to Ernest Cline's book, Ready Player One. In this book, Rabbits is an alternate reality game that uses the world as its canvas. Since it started in 1959, 10 iterations have appeared and 9 winners have been declared. Identities of the winners are unknown. So is their reward, which is whispered to be NSA or CIA recruitment, wealth, immortality, or even the key to the universe. Players have died in the past, and the body count is rising. Now, the 11th round is about to begin. Enter Kay, who has been trying to find a way into the game for years. The path opens when Kay is approached by billionaire Scarpio, rumored to be the winner of the 6th iteration. Scarpio says something is wrong with the game, and Kay needs to fix it before 11 starts. 5 days later, Scarpio is missing. 2 weeks after that, Kay blows the deadline. 11 begins. Suddenly, the fate of the entire universe is at stake. And if all of this sounds a little confusing, well, that's the point. Similar to Fight Club, the first rule of Rabbits is that no one talks directly about it. This book got a starred review from Publishers Weekly. They said, seeming coincidences become clues to a mind-bending scavenger hunt in Miles's outstanding techno-thriller. He combines mystery, danger, and scientific theory to bring the game to life until readers are just as caught up and searching for the next clue as the characters. It's a wild ride and impossible to put down. So I can definitely see the correlation with Ready Player One, which I enjoyed. But this book sounds a little different. Like maybe it's a little more like The Matrix since the whole world is involved, but we'll just have to read it and find out. And that brings us to the end of our show for this week. Don't forget to give us some likes and loves if you've enjoyed our show, and share this video with all your friends who also enjoy book videos. Also, I'd like to say that summer reading is starting next weekend, and there's going to be prizes for all ages, kids, teens, and adults. So if you enjoy reading over the summer, you should definitely sign up. Otherwise, thanks for watching.
See you later, fellow readers.